Hey, good morning everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for Monday, February 5th, 2018. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. We had a major correction on Friday, which has now led to a week-long pullback here. And this pullback, this nice impulse sell-off here, is going to give us a great impulse bounce back up perhaps. That gives us a key range that we can now work off of. This is the most significant pullback we've seen in quite a while, and the fact that we have that now gives us very clear and clean key levels to work off of. As soon as we find that clear bottom, we could be looking at a bounce right back up toward the midpoint of that range, and now we have ourselves a key range to work with. At that point, you may see the next several weeks could be in here before we start to make another move out, or perhaps even walk back down a little lower. So right now this pivot low is going to be very important, and it could provide a nice bounce at some point here. So right now just watching to see how it continues to play out in the near term here. Any potential bounce could lead this thing right back toward the FOMC key level 28.29 quarter. This is one thing we talked about just before, is that when price goes away from that FOMC key level, as soon as you find rejection, you usually see price come right back to that level. So one thing to be watching for here this week. All right, let's take a look at the NQ. The NQ had quite a sell-off as well. We knew that compression was occurring. We had like 8 days of sideways, and then finally the stop started to really come out. Major decline. You can see right here, this is the midpoint from the January range. So we made it all the way back to the midpoint of January's range. We're inside the trigger zone. Again, we have an impulse high that led to a nice sell-off into this low, and that could provide another nice key range to work off of here with an upward bias. As long as price continues to honor these key levels like 6,600 here, these LVNs, market structure, those types of key levels, this thing will continue to push higher until proven otherwise. So right now this could be another bounce opportunity back up. And if you look at something like RTY as well, RTY has a great spot where it's showing rejection right now off of these lows. This is the previous month's low price, and that's where we came out, took out that low, and are now bouncing back up again. When you go offered away from that FOMC key level, in this case 1580 half, there could be another bounce right back to that level, so keep that in mind. If we take a look here at crude oil, oops, let's go this way, there we go. Right now crude is holding at highs. We got another bounce off these lows. You see this pullback here, this pullback, great bounces here in consecutive weeks basically. Right now we're coiling up, we're holding. Right here we have a range that's formed, 63.75 to about 66 half, 66 quarter, and that range right there is building some energy for the next key move up. But if there's any failure, as this was a lower high here, that means we could be sideways a little longer here, and then we're gonna have to see if we can get expansion one way or another. Now the stacked and sloped PMAs, everything still points to the upside, but again, you got to continue to watch it, because as soon as price fails to hold 63s, this thing could get pretty interesting to the downside. But a test of that level though, and a rejection, could provide another bounce opportunity back up. So we'll be watching this one as it continues to develop. We also have gold here. Gold looks pretty similar to crude in that it's trended higher. It's had some nice bounces recently, but last week more fizzled here at the end of the week. So very tightly coiled price action here. We could see some expansion at some point, but right now gold very quiet. Now in terms of Bitcoin, if we're looking at XBT now, we talked about the potential for price to drop to 6,700. This is something we've been talking about since the beginning of January. We were looking at perhaps a drop down as low as 6,700, with 9,000 being the medium term target. We reached that target there, went sideways, and dropping yet again. 6,700 right around the corner. Bitcoin again down 10% today, which is significant, and continues to show weakness here. So we're going to continue to look for more downside price activity toward 6,700, and it may not even stop there. So this is just the next key target that we'll keep an eye on, and we'll see how this thing continues to play out. All right, everyone, that's it for now. Let's see how these markets play out the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and happy Monday.